All right, listeners, before we get into this week's podcast, I just want to thank our sponsor, Airship Notebooks. They're sponsoring us for the month of March. And artists know that details matter. Whatever you're creating, the details set great art apart. So when Airship Notebooks set out to create their Alpha Sketch Notebook, they paid attention to every little thing. It's 100% recycled paper, beautifully handles pencil, marker, and even watercolor, or whatever other medium you choose. The Alpha Sketchbook's brilliant lay-flat binding is not only more comfortable and convenient, it lets you spread your creativity across the entire 2-page landscape. It's all that helps artists and designers, people like you, be more creative and more productive. Here's one more thing for our listeners. You can go to airshipnotebooks.com right now, enter coupon code Inebri-art, Inebriart 30, and you'll get 30% off your entire order. This offer is valid during the entire month of March, so grab it while you can. And thank you again to Airship Notebooks for sponsoring the Inebri-art podcast and all our events. Welcome back to Inebri-arts. This is Andy of the Inebri-art podcast. Is that good? Huh? I didn't bury the needle this time. And we're recording, as always, at the Craft Beer Cellar on Main Street. If you are in Plymouth and you have beer and or wine needs, make sure you stop in and see Tatum. She'll take care of you. Lots to choose from. And so, 2020's here. We're trying to class up the joint a little bit. We've had a harpist on, and now we have a pianist for the Boston Ballet, Rebecca Harrold, right?
Yes, that's right.
That's 2 in a row, I think. That name right. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, being the pianist in the Boston Ballet, first of all, I kind of found out there was a Boston Ballet. I didn't really know about that. How did that come about? Like, how did you end up... Is that, like, where you aimed for? Or is that just where you happened to end up?
It wasn't where I was aiming for at all, really. But it manages to pay a lot of my bills.
Yeah.
We do have those. Actually, how did I find out about the Boston Ballet? It was through, I worked with children, and a couple of the kids were taking piano lessons from a woman who worked at the Boston Ballet as a pianist, and she invited me as a teacher of Samuel. One of the students was putting on a recital in his home, so they invited me to come on out and watch the recital and listen and stuff. So she said, "Oh, I hear that you play the piano and you sing." And I said, "Yes, I do." She said, "Well, sit down and do a little number."
Yeah.
So I did, and I actually sang "Saving All My Love for You," Whitney Houston, and played it. Sang and played, and then she, like, within the next couple of days, just asked me to come down to Boston Ballet and meet the director, and that was the end of that. And when I actually walked into the Boston Ballet, there was one of the principal dancers went to church with me, and as soon as I walked in, he turned to the director and he said, "Oh, hire her, she's amazing." It was one of those things where it was like, I wasn't planning on doing that. I had moved to Boston to be with my daughter's father at the time. He was studying at Berkeley. And so I came out via New York City and, just embarked on what I thought was going to be more performance, original music, which is what I'm doing now, too. Yeah. So, just a few things along the way, little offshoots. And working at Boston Ballet has been great because it's... I like working with the dancers. They're very work ethic oriented and have taught me a lot about just serving the art.
Now, is there a big difference in playing? Because basically you're playing along to them dancing, or them dancing along to your playing. I don't know how you want to look at that.
Both.
Is there something different that you have to do than if you're just playing music? Is it more that you have to keep a consistent tempo because of the way they practice things?
Yeah, both that. So it has trained me to be extremely good with tempo. When I was in the recording studio, I never had to use a click track because my timing is pretty much perfect.
Right.
It's in fact, working with a click track is uncomfortable for me because I have to learn how to use a click track. I've learned that. But the way I look at it is, if you're playing in a jazz club, you're going to play jazz music, and you could do other music and make it sound jazzy. Mm-hmm. And this is what I tell young pianists who might want to work at the ballet studio be a ballet musician, is you want to do ballet music primarily. Yeah. Because first of all, I'm serving the teacher. The teacher is my conductor, my director, because I need to follow their direction. Mm-hmm. They put together the combinations. They put together what it is that they're going to be focusing on. And so my role is to support the teacher and follow what it is they're doing. So their tempos are set by them. The dynamics are set by the movement. Yeah. So that's partly what I do to provide motivation for the dancers, young dancers too, especially to understand the dynamism of each movement. So I've learned that. I didn't know that when I started out. I was like, what is going on? Like, I didn't understand. We called it baptism by fire. It's like you get in there and you have to do it. You just kind of got to figure it out. And when they asked for a polka, I swear.
A polka?
Yeah, polkas.
For ballet?
Polka is awesome in ballet. That's like the disco of the ballerina world. Okay. And marches are like the heavy metal because there's just it has to be really, really strong. Yeah. And polkas are very upbeat. That's where the ballerina kind of gets to go nuts and just go crazy across the dance floor. So I started playing a beer barrel polka. That's the only thing I knew, because I was coming from like wedding bands and GB bands, and I played a lot of Broadway. So as long as you play it within a ballet style, which for the classroom is very square. Yeah. So you can play just about anything. It's like playing anything in a jazz club. You could play God Bless America. But as long as you jazz it up and use that language, that's the way I look at it. It's like you can play anything. You can play anything in ballet as long as it fits what they're trying to do.
And you see a lot of that, like nowadays with YouTube and different musicians, where they'll take a genre of music and put it into another genre, right? Or you get like Metallica playing with a symphony orchestra because they can, that kind of thing. Yeah, or vice versa. Long, the pianist, he's a classical pianist. He's a protege from China. He just played with oh my gosh, I think it was Pearl Jam on the Grammys a couple years ago. So they had him in his tux, like banging away on a classical Steinway grand piano to the Pearl Jams. I forget what tune. I'm not prepared. So now, do you play along with other musicians, or do you? No, in the studio, it's just piano, just me and the dancers. Yeah. So that's an adjustment too. Yeah, because it's silent cues. Like when I work with other musicians, at least I can hear where they are. Right. But with the dancers, it's all visual. It's either visual or just. I feel like it's copacetic. Like we kind of feel each other in a way that is. Practice so much that it just becomes intuitive. You know where they're going to be. They're going to be, and there's certain visual cues that allow me to understand where I'm supposed to be in my music at the point where they are in their movement, and so they can line up. And you're also working on a album, or just CD. Finished an album? Yeah, well, I have one out. Okay. And really, I'm very grateful for having worked with the ballet, because I use the studio to play a lot of my own music as well. Not the singing. This CD that I'm working on right now has more vocal, because I'm a singer too.
But the first album, I did all my music in the studio, most of it in the ballet studio.
Yeah.
And got a lot of encouragement from the dancers because they would always say, "What was that music you played?" And I said, "Oh, that was a song I wrote." "Wow, that was really great."
Now, what kind of music do you gravitate towards for that?
For my writing?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hybrid. It's basically lots of genres, but it has the sensibility of a pop tune.
Yeah.
None of my songs are really over 3 or 4 minutes. I don't go into like these 12-minute epic classical pieces. But because I was trained classically, I have that feel and the form. It can be classical, but I use some jazz idioms as well. So it's a hybrid. It's a hybrid. My music is a hybrid, and I like to say I compare myself, and others have compared me to Liz Story, George Winston. I recorded with the folks that started Windham Hill,
What's that?
The record label.
Okay.
Oh, here we go.
No,
Generation gap.
So Windham Hill. What's that?
Windham Hill was a recording studio back in I think Will Ackerman started it in the 70s, I think, early 70s.
Okay.
He's a guitar player, guitarist, like folk guitar. But their whole idea really birthed the new age genre.
Yeah, okay.
Back then.
Mm-hmm.
And it became its own sort of musical movement. New age.
And did you get to play along with him? Or
No. That was back in the 70s when they started it. But Will Ackerman is the guy who started the label and the genre, and he's still producing albums up in Vermont, in the mountains of Vermont. So I went up and recorded my first album with him up there via a woman that I met at the ballet.
Yeah.
Because she recommended I give him a knock and send him some of my music and see what he thought, and he said, "Yeah, I'll record you."
It seems very
great.
serendipitous. You kind of stumbled into the ballet
very
and then found someone to do that.
Yes, that is the trajectory of my career. I just stumble around, and I actually, I think I really part of the creative process, if you will, is my ability to just think outside of the box.
Yeah,
like I don't. I had an idea of what I wanted to do, which was like play on Broadway and maybe sing and dance on Broadway because I was trained in all of that. Mm-hmm. But I was still trying to figure out like where did I really feel like I could make a big splash or a difference, and really feel like I could fully put myself into music. I knew it was always about music, but I wasn't quite sure like what aspect of music, and I sometimes still don't, because I like to do a lot of different things.
Yeah, so you still kind of have that urge to go back into
I still do shows.
Yeah.
Like when I wasn't full-time at the Boston Ballet, every summer I would because the theater is dark in the summertime. We don't have much going on except for the summer program for the children.
Okay.
This is like when things get really intense for the kids because it's their summer program and they're studying ballet 9 to 5 every day, if not longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it becomes extremely intense, and intense for the musicians too because we're playing all day.
Right.
But I would take the summers off when I wasn't working full time for Boston Ballet, and I would direct a show for fun.
Oh, that's cool.
For fun.
Yeah.
Like I love doing theater work, either directing or performing in it, and I've always sung and liked doing stage presentations of original works or like Fiddler on the Roof or Fiddler on the Roof.
Oh yeah.
Godspell, or any of the old.
So what was your attraction that first got you into the performing arts and the stage performances and such?
Survival in my home growing up.
Okay.
It was like a place where I felt, at least here there's some stability, you kind of know what to expect. My mother was always performing. And,
so you came from a musical family? Or?
Yeah. My mom was a pianist for the ballet out in Ohio. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. And she played for a little ballet company, and I would always go around with her. And I thought I wanted to dance, and she was like, no. You're going to sit at the piano and start playing.
Yeah.
When I was 4, she had me playing and stuff by ear, and then start reading music, going and taking lessons and things like that. And so I started when I was really young.
Did you
and there was never
enjoy it right away, or was it more?
Yeah. It was just, it was the only thing that, the way I see it now, it's the only thing that helped me make sense of the world, because as, I was going through teenage years, things kind of went haywire, as they usually do in the teen years. It's just like, wow, I don't understand this. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like anything. But the one thing I always did like was playing the piano, and it's kind of like that was my grounding mechanism, my way of making sense of the world and just processing all the emotional garbage that was going on in my life.
Were you writing music at that time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I started when I was 10. So I started writing music, mostly music. Then I started, messing around with lyrics and doing singing later, like teen years, 14. Yeah. But the funny thing is, like, because after you had asked me about, like, the creative process, I started thinking about, the creative process is just, it's fascinating. I'm sure it's so different for the different modalities.
It's strangely different, but the same.
Right?
Because everyone, and even like, musicians write completely different ways. So there's a lot of difference in that, but in the same aspect, like once you kind of boil it down, it's a lot of kind of trying to get something out that is internal.
Yeah.
And explain it in a way that other people are going to get your message.
Yeah. Yeah. Or even if they don't get it, it's just a way to get it out.
Yeah.
That's how I felt. Like, it's sometimes the biggest block for me thinking about the creative process was also thinking about blocks, because that's one of the things that a lot of people struggle with. When I teach kids, I like to get them to create right away.
Yeah.
Like, let's just start messing around. Just use the instrument to get whatever you're feeling out.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's for. I mean, ultimately, I feel like that's what it's for.
Yeah.
And I'm not alone in that. Whitney Houston said, "No note should come out of your mouth unless it's filled with emotion."
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what kind of emotion, just emotion.
Well, I
think she was a pretty good reference point.
And it's one of those, I feel like creative people have kind of found a way to get that voice out, and where we've taken away a lot of those things in schools and stuff. I feel like there are people who, maybe not professionally, but would be creative in some way that could really benefit from that sort of thing. Right. It's very therapeutic.
It is. And I think one of the things that motivates people to be creative, it's sound kind of trite, but it's love. Because I remember I was playing in a good friend of mine, Robert Honeysucker, who was a local opera star, kind of a legend. I used to accompany a lot of his students while he was teaching, and I just learned so much, just absorbing what's going on. And he had all kinds of students, not all music professionals, but doctors and lawyers and real estate people. And there was this one fella who came in, and he would always talk, like, how's your day, how's your week, how's it been going? And this guy, he was working on figuring out at what vibration frequency dust moved. And I thought to myself, right.
Okay.
I looked at, I had the same look. I'm like,
that's a
okay,
weird...
this is bizarre.
Yeah.
Like,
Why?
That's the first thing I asked him. I said, so what? Because I'm accompanying him, and you build a rapport with people. At least I like to, because we're creating art.
Was he trying to dust his house?
Well, so no. This is where it gets. He got a little faraway look in his eye and a tear in his eye, and I said, so what motivated you to start studying this? Like, here's this PhD guy, a deep thinker, and he said, well, my wife and my daughter both have diabetes, and it really hurts me to watch them have to put a needle in their arm to inject this medication. Yeah. So his thesis was to find out at what vibration frequency would he be able to move the dust particles in a, you know how people use those inhalers?
Oh, sure, yeah.
To inhale the medication? Because I guess the diabetes medicine is a bigger molecule. Yeah. But it's still like particles of dust, but bigger dust. Okay. So he was searching to find that because he loved his wife and his daughter so much that this... Because that just blew my mind. I was like, what makes somebody get up in the morning and decide that they want to figure this out?
Right,
you know? Like, what on earth? And so when he said that, I was just so moved because it just, to me, it's love that would compel you to want to do something that deep. And I really feel like the creative process can be that deep. It bubbles up out of us, too. Like, there are times when I've written a song and it comes like that. Yeah. The whole thing, from start to finish. And I'm sure you've heard other songwriters. Yeah, absolutely. And then there's times where it's just like, oh, my gosh. I've got my hands on my face, and I'm just like, I can't figure this out, but I'm not going to stop until I do.
Now, do you feel... Because I always tell people, they're like, hey, can you draw me whatever? And I'll be like, when do you need it by? And they go, oh, it doesn't matter. I go, no, I can't do it. Because I cannot operate without a deadline.
Yeah.
Now, do you find deadlines help that a lot?
Me, it does. Yeah. But there are other people who it wouldn't.
Yeah.
I find deadlines are great because, there's, it helps me to put the fire under my butt. Yeah. Because if I don't have that, I'll just sort of,
be like, oh, yeah, I'll get to
whatever,
it.
I'll get to it.
It's on my list. Yep.
I have something like that going on right now. I've got 2 creative projects, collaborations with folks, and they're both very, whenever kind of thing. And I'm like, I work so much better with the deadline.
Yeah, I've just got to the point where if people don't give me a date, I'm like, it's not going to happen.
It ain't going to happen.
And they'll be like, should I just give you any date? I'm like, that's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah, just
whatever
give me
works.
Some sort of schedule.
And a reasonable, not like tomorrow at 12 noon. But
yeah,
even
I
then,
honestly do better with those.
a little bit. The deadlines that are like,
I was that kind of student, though, growing up, too, where you're like, I have a report due in 2 days. I'll start tomorrow.
Bang it out. Yeah. Bang it out in one night. An all-nighter.
Now, when you were younger and you got into this, then did you go to college? Or
yeah, I did.
Where did you go?
I studied music at Baldwin Wallace College. Actually, now it's called Baldwin Wallace University because they have a different accreditation.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Did you have that same struggle with the deadlines then, or were you?
Yeah, it pretty much operated. Yeah. I didn't know it back then, but I do much better with deadlines. Back then, I kind of despised deadlines. Yeah, because I was much more of a free thinker. Like, how dare you try to?
Like, creation's just gonna come when it comes, man.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Exactly. How dare you try to infringe upon my creative process?
There are some things that I feel are like that, where I have things that I want to do or ideas that I'm like, it's here, it's in my head, and it's got to kind of, I don't know,
get fed.
It's got to get fed, but it's got to almost like bake. It's not going to come out until it's ready.
Right.
And like you said, sometimes you'll just start with an idea, and from start to finish, it just kind of rolls out. And other times you're like, no, I'm going to sit on this one for a while. And
I think editing is the hardest thing with writing, because I feel it's hard to go back when you have something in your mind the way that it came out, and you feel like, I mean, I've said it. It's like giving birth to a baby. You could not relate to that, but maybe the process of having something be created, and there it is. That's it.
Yeah.
How dare you say my baby needs
adjusting?
It needs a nose job. You know what I mean? It's like, no.
You need to cut a couple of those fingers off. It's a little too much. Yeah.
Right. No, I'm not happy with that. But
do you have that person that you can kind of like run stuff by that's going to give you an honest feedback that you can kind of be like, okay, this is a trusted person that, is going to give me good feedback and isn't just going to, be like, oh yeah,
lip
it's
service.
great. Yeah. But is actually going to listen and give you feedback.
Sometimes, yeah, I really, sometimes I'll run it by my husband with certain things.
Yeah.
But there are times when I kind of put the blinders on and just say, if I'm doing it for a particular purpose, like I've written music for a dancer, a choreographer, and obviously he's going to tell me this isn't going to work, or we need extra measures, or so yeah. If it depends on who I'm serving, if you will. If I'm writing a particular piece for something that I'm collaborating, I'll run it by that person.
But what about when you do your own stuff?
When I do my own stuff, no, I kind of work in a bubble. No, the producer, I do trust the producer and the engineer who I've worked with, Will Eckerman and Tom Eaton, who's a local guy also. When we get in the studio, that's usually when a lot of the editing and things like that start happening. Mm-hmm. I find the process of recording is... I can't do that. The engineering, it's like such a different part of my brain.
Yeah.
Like I can't, that stops me from creating right there on the spot. If I have to deal with that, it's so weird. Like I can't use that side of my brain while I'm trying to create music.
Yeah.
So I don't try to engineer my own music at this point. Mm-hmm. And so when I even recorded on my iPhone, that can become a big freaking deal with me because now I've learned how to do it. But when I first wasn't, like push the button, it would just stop everything. Like literally, the whole creative process would just go. It would just stop.
It's funny
because I'd have to start pushing buttons.
Yeah.
It's a totally different mindset. And I said, oh my gosh, this is going to kill me. But when I get into the studio with those guys who are just running the board and thinking those things specifically, then they can start making suggestions like what might sound better from a production standpoint, or, what are you trying to do with this? Who's your... I've never asked who's my audience, and that's what a lot of people ask me.
Yeah, that since we've been doing this podcast for a while, you're always looking at how to expand your audience.
Yes.
And people are like, well, who's your audience? I'm like, God, I don't even know.
Right.
Because it depends on the episode.
And doing the analytics.
Yep.
And so it's just a totally different part of your brain, as far as I'm concerned. Because when I write a song, and I'm not into commercial writing at this juncture, licensing and film scoring and things like that, where it's for a specific... That is your outcome. Like who your target market is your outcome.
Sure, yeah. If you're writing for Avengers movie, it's going to be a lot different if you're writing for The Notebook.
Right. That's right. Yeah. Exactly. So you got to kind of look at that and study those formulas in a way. And in some ways, that's all it is a formula.
Yeah.
That's not to say that there's not a lot of creativity that goes on within those formulas, but I haven't gone down that path.
But, I mean, just most songs are kind of formulaic. And it's a verse and then the chorus, and,
Yeah.
So there's kind of rules, but it's almost you have to know those rules before you can decide when to break them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Who said that? That's a famous quote. Wasn't it Picasso or... Pablo Picasso said,
sure.
You got to know the rules like a lawyer before you can break them like an artist.
Yeah. But it's true.
And you can put them together real nice.
Yeah. Because you almost have to know why you're doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the classical world would do that. They'd say, I know full well how I'm breaking the rules, but I'm choosing to do it.
Yeah.
And they teach that in the dance world too. It's like, you're choosing when you execute certain movements. Don't ever make it like it just has to be done that way because that's the rule. Though we do have this law of gravity that will eventually bring us out of a jump, but make it like you chose to land.
Yeah, that was my landing. I didn't fall. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. That's how they say it. It's like,
that's like who is it? Prince said that if he made a mistake playing a song, that he would duplicate the mistake so it didn't sound like a mistake.
Miles Davis said the same thing.
Yeah,
hit a wrong note, hit it a lot.
Yeah, what is it? You hit it. once, it's a mistake. You hit it twice, it's not. It's an 3
intention.
times, it's jazz or something like that.
I'll buy that for $1.
Do you have? Do you have a preference to, like? You said your music kind of is a lot of different genres, but is there something that you enjoy the most playing in front of an audience?
Well, I mean, at this stage of the game, I just really enjoy playing my own music, which I like improvising.
Yeah.
I belong to a group it's a consortium of pianists from all over the world. It's called Enlightened Piano Radio. And one of the things that we do whenever we do one of our shows is we get the audience to suggest. Like, one suggestion was do a bonfire on the beach midsummer, and play music.
Oh.
That would evoke that image.
That feeling.
Yeah, and that feeling.
Yeah.
And I remember that because I did that suggestion. Somebody had suggested it, and my daughter said, "Mom, that was amazing!" And she's an incredible musician too. So when she said that to me, I was like, "Really?" She's like, "You have to listen to the recording," because I tend to do things like that on the fly, sort of serendipitously. I like doing that. I like just playing something that comes to mind from out of my heart, out of my soul. But I do like classical music.
Yeah,
I like the predictability of classical music. But French Impressionism is my favorite classical style, if you will, period. So it's classical, romantic, French Impressionism, and then modern music. Debussy, Ravel.
Oh, okay. I've heard of
Monet are the painters of the French Impressionism and Pointillism and all that. So that's my absolute favorite style of Chopin, Debussy. Those are all the writers that I really like. I like the way they interjected a lot of jazz tones with classical style.
And when you're playing, because you're talking about trying to project a feeling or an image while you're playing. So when I'm drawing, if I'm really kind of in the zone, it's very zen. I'm not thinking. I'm not real. It's hard to describe, but my brain kind of shuts down. Mm-hmm. Do you have that? Are you very focused on this chord, this chord, this chord?
No. I have total. Yeah, the total. I'm fluent in 2 languages, English and music, and that's it. That's pretty much it. I can stumble around in a little bit of Spanish and a little bit of Portuguese and a little bit of French and a little bit of German. But as far as fluency, I can completely speak in music, and people get it. They understand it. Yeah. That's what's kind of cool. It doesn't matter who my audience is. They'll get it. They'll get something in their heart will be moved because I can speak fluently in music, whatever it might be, whatever the emotion, whatever the scene.
Yeah.
And I think 20 years of doing ballet has helped me with that because my intuition is very high in that area, in that arena, specific to that, like movement. I pick up on movements and stuff very quickly and kind of know what to do musically before it happens.
Now, did any of that carry over to the writing of your new album?
It's hard to say because I'm like you. My brain sort of shuts down. A lot of the stuff that my first album was The River of Life, and this one's The Tree of Life, which I'm using more lyrics. Yeah. So,
do the music or the lyrics come first?
Well, it depends. Yeah. It really does depend. I find it harder to put lyrics to music.
So
they kind of have to happen
the other way.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Because I've collaborated with people who have written poems. Yeah. And I can put music to their poems. But when I've written music,
to put words to it is a lot more difficult.
It's so much more difficult. It feels awkward. It just feels awkward, and it's not as well to date.
Yeah.
I haven't really played around with it that much, but it feels awkward. It doesn't feel like it flows. Mm-hmm. And the best scenario is when it's both at the same time.
Yeah.
When it can just... I have a new song coming up because my third album is going to just be called Life. And I've got a bunch of songs that pertain to life. As you can imagine, that's a wide range of
that's a very
things.
Broad topic, yeah.
But, I'm just picking up on... there's a band called Till Tuesday. Have you ever heard of that band?
I have.
Amy Mann. She's a Berkeley graduate. She plays bass and sings.
Okay.
But the funny thing is, I always wondered, why did they name their band Till Tuesday? And then... years have gone by, and I have heard that Till Tuesday so many times, just in regular conversation, how long are you going to be in Florida? Till Tuesday. So how long is this workshop going on till Tuesday?
Huh.
Always. It's the funniest thing. It's there is this repetition of that word usage.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm finding.
It's that alliteration, too.
It's an alliteration, but it's also seems to be like a time frame. It's
Yeah.
like a vortex. Everything that happens is going on till Tuesday.
Yeah.
And they picked up on that or something. I don't know. But this is part of what is going into my third CD project is these things that come up in life, these, people call them coincidences. I call them God incidences, where things are just illuminated. And deja vu. Deja vu is another thing that I find fascinating.
Yeah.
I think it's just something that a lot of people experience the same emotional whatever it is strongly. Mm-hmm. And that's what deja vu is to me. It's we've all felt the same thing at some point, and just people hit it at different points. And then it's such a strong sensation of what it is you're feeling, that you're feeling everybody who's felt it throughout the course of mankind. How's that?
So it's not them changing the Matrix?
It's unplugging. It's the unplugging. So those are some of the things that are going to go into the writing of life.
Are you do more lyrics in that one as well?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. More lyrics, but just on the theme of life. I've got one that I wrote for Valentine's. I don't care anymore. But it's light and it's upbeat.
Yeah.
Because I don't care doesn't mean apathy necessarily. It can just mean I'm not worried about it anymore.
Right, yeah.
I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
So I just realized there's certain things about how we say things that we've thought that they mean things because that's just the way things have always been. But when I put music to it, because I had someone say, your words don't match with your music. And I said, yes, it does. It's just the way that you're saying it. It's a different perspective.
Yeah.
Because light and upbeat, I don't care anymore. It's you don't care anymore, but that sounds like a happy song. And I'm like, bingo.
Right, because you're kind of...
I'm letting go.
You're letting go of that kind of stress that you were caring about. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Like those double entendres.
Yeah. Mine, I tend to say whatever a lot, and women I've dated tend to get really angry about that. And I'm like, because they think I'm being dismissive. I'm like, no, it doesn't matter. Like, what do you want for dinner? Oh, whatever. Like, I'm not being hostile. It's
smug.
It just doesn't matter. Like, I'm cool. Like, sushi, great.
Sushi.
Pasta, let's do pasta. Whatever.
So instead of saying whatever, just say sushi.
Sushi, well, yeah. Pasta would be cool too, or tacos.
Pasta, pasta la vista.
So how long ago did you? Because you're now working on your third album. I thought.
Well, I'm in the process.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of dovetailing.
Oh, okay. When did your second album come out?
It hasn't.
Oh, okay.
Not really.
So you're you're like overachieving here.
I'm just brewing.
Yeah.
Things are brewing, and I'm recruiting, recruiting ideas, and hopefully people who can join me. I've got certain casts of musicians that I love to call on, and
nice.
Will's got his stable of musicians. The first CD I worked with Tony Levin, the bass player for Peter Gabriel. Mm-hmm. And Jeff Haynes, who's Pat Metheny's percussionist.
Okay.
Some real big names, but awesome musicians.
Yeah.
And awesome musicians and humans.
That always makes it easier.
It does.
I'd rather work with good people than,
It's fun. It makes it fun. and that was one of the biggest treats going up to the mountains of Vermont. It's kind of interesting getting to this stage in life, and still doing music. I had a rather interesting conversation with my sister because she works up in Canada and she's a musician, but she's always taught, and she didn't really follow her performance path that much. And she was like, well, at some point you just have to, modify your dreams kind of thing. And I was like, well, the creative process never gets modified, though. And that's where I've always really held my base, is that I'm a creative individual.
Yeah.
Whether I get to perform in front of millions or 10 or 1, that process is always going to be within me, and that's never going to change. I mean,
right.
I love you as a sister, but no, you're wrong.
Do you,
I'm not stopping.
Do you find that creativeness follows you into other parts of your life, or are you singularly focused on music?
Well, like I said, I'm fluid in English and music, and quite honestly, I'm more comfortable with music. I've tried to write, and my daughter's an excellent writer. I defer to her. And she's like, Mom, like, what are you trying to say?
Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't flow as well
Yeah.
when I try to put thoughts into words. But thoughts and feelings go into music so much easier for me.
Yeah.
And that's I like designing my space too.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm not a visual artist, but I love putting things together, like visually, feng shui a little bit, like that space and flowy thing, and colors. I love that. But I have never had the fluidity in any other area of my life other than music. I've tried to draw, and again, it's like, what are you trying to say there?
Yeah, but see, I feel, especially with like drawing, I feel like drawing isn't necessarily about how it looks when it's done. It's more about the process, and like I said, for me, it's very zen and relaxing and therapeutic. So that's why I do it.
It is, and I have had that experience. Thank God, when I've been painting, throw
a paint like Jackson Pollock. Yeah, that's fine. So what I should have asked was, when is your second album coming out?
That's again. I'm changing my ideas about how music is ingested, and I don't really know how to drop things the correct way. I've got 3 that have been...
I feel like that changes so much
It
now,
does. It does. And I've got 3 songs that are already mixed and mastered.
Yep.
And in my eyes, they're done. They're ready. They're on my website. But as far as doing like this big, whatever it is, marketing or promoting, I haven't really done that.
So you're kind of putting out the songs more like individually or in small groups, opposed to like an album.
Well, I did it. Exactly. There will be a finished CD. This is a 7-song EP though, because I had. It's very eclectic. Yeah, and there's a wide variety of styles on this one, which is a little scary as an artist because I've only had 1 CD. Yeah, and a lot of people say, well, you think you're great at all these other genres. Yeah. Not many people do that successfully. No. But for me, it was more, again, I approached it like, this is just what's going on inside of me right now, and I want to get all this stuff out. Kind of like your art process. It's like, I just want to get this all out here. I'm not looking at it as a commercial endeavor. Right. But thankfully, working with Will and Tom Eaton is the engineer, and he brought up the idea, well, you could put together this EP as a kind of a template for licensing and securing movie music, and just use that as a way to audition different mixes of each song. That's how they do it. So that is a whole another ball of wax. But as far as having that CD done, I'd say it's got 1/4 more 1/4 more to go.
That's not too bad.
Yeah, because I got to go down to North Carolina. We took a trip down to Tybee Island and then drove up to North Carolina and did some recording with Neil Merrick Blackwood, who, I'll tell you, another amazing acquisition as far as I'm concerned, as far as like just learning about people in the music world and meeting folks. His family had worked with Elvis Presley.
Oh wow.
They're famous. And you know, who knew? I didn't know.
Yeah.
I mean, he had taken an interest in some of my work and said, you know, what do you have going on right now? Do you have any recording needs? And I was like, well, shoot. Yeah.
Sorry.
You want a swig of beer?
Sorry about that.
We got a whole case of beer upstairs.
And then some.
But so, yeah, it was a great experience. And he put together a boys' choir, a guys' choir. You know, he had some singers that had worked with Bob Dylan, and, you know, just a great cast of folks. And we finished 2 songs, background vocals on a couple tunes that I'm excited about. One is, He Shall Be Like a Tree, which is a gospel, kind of gospel folky song. Yeah. And then another piece, which was written by Franz Schubert. It's just my favorite piano trio by Franz Schubert, but I've reworked it. He's rolling in his grave as we speak. I sang to it. Yeah. Which, hey, I'm an artist. I heard an intro and an outro, and I had vocals to it. Nothing much, but just enough. And that's the universality of what I try to do lyrically. It's not a specific story. It's more just a universal. This one was about my brother, who just passed away recently. Oh. So that song is just it's. I love it. It's E flat minor trio, but so. That was a long answer to when is it coming out. If that's any indication of how quickly I send my stuff to print. But I've been waterfalling, cascading marketing is what it is. Sure. And my marketing is certainly not a, blast in your face type of marketing. Yeah. I'm trying to get people to come to my website and appreciate people to really give a lot of traction to that.
Mm-hmm. Well, where can people go to find that website?
My website is www.RebeccaHarrold, that's HARROLD, music.com. And from my website, I'm using that as my portal. Sure. Try to filter in.
Connected to all your other...
I'm on Spotify and Pandora. The second CD is not on those platforms yet. Just The River of Life is on all the digital platforms. And that is another can of worms.
Oh, the whole
digital networking. How they're ingested. Yeah. It's very different, and I just viscerally don't even understand it. I don't even know how to digest music myself. Like, where do I go to listen to music? I brought you a CD today, and I'm thinking, well, they probably don't even have a CD player. I've done that so many times in my life.
That's a funny, that happened to me a couple years ago. Actually, quite a few years ago now that I think about it. My son was taking up saxophone, and I wanted to get him some CDs from bands that I liked that had saxophone players in it.
Right.
And so I was kind of making a list, and I had to call my ex-wife and go, does he even have a CD player? And she's like, no. And I'm like, don't make it sound like I'm, crazy person for asking, but, he doesn't.
He doesn't. And so then how do you get the music to him?
So basically I got him a gift card for iTunes. And
Apple
I
iTunes.
Gave him a list of been like, you should check these bands out.
And then he can download those or make a playlist, maybe off of Spotify too, if they're on Spotify.
Most of them were, I think, but
some of the older ones it's hard to find.
Yeah, and it's all who puts their music where.
Where is Waldo?
I mean, nowadays, me and him usually shoot back YouTube links to stuff we like.
That's right. Yeah. And then there's that. That's how I learn most of the stuff. If I'm doing a cover band thing, I just go to YouTube and get all my music there, and then create a little on my phone, so I can just listen to it. Repetition.
Nice. Well, since you brought us a CD, can we attach a couple of the songs to the end of this episode?
Sure. We could. I don't know. Do you have a CD player? Or would you do?
Yeah, Fish can make that happen. He's a smart guy.
Or would you do things I have newer stuff on my website.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, what am I doing? Let me give you my phone. That'll help.
Yeah, we'll...
And you have to have a razor blade to open that up. That's the River of Life.
Yeah, we can attach a couple of these to the episode.
So you can either the title track, The River of Life, or Photograph is the first one on there. That employs most of the musicians. I think that has the whole big band at the end.
But I want to say, I think we're just about... Yeah, pretty much at
time is up.
Yeah, it goes by fast, doesn't it?
It does go by fast.
But I just want to say thanks for coming.
Well, thank you for having me. I hope I've given you some, some interesting ideas about creativity.
It feels so much classier. We've had someone from the ballet.
Well, yeah, and we're starting Revolution, which is our next program. That's the next playbill, it's all contemporary ballet. It's not one of the classics, but we're going to do Swan Lake too.
Oh, nice.
Revolution starts pretty soon, at the end of February into March.
Oh, excellent.
So the runs.
You can just go to Boston Ballet.
Opera House, yeah. Okay. The Opera House is our home.
Yeah.
That's where all the performances are. Or bostonballet.com. You can get tickets and see the synopsis of the story, because I can't give that to you right now. I don't know.
That's fine.
I know it's new. It's new, and I don't even know the music that's involved. I apologize.
You got a couple weeks.
Right? Yeah. I know. That's exactly how I do things. Yeah. Nice. Deadlines.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, thank you for coming to talk to us. It's a lot
of
fun.
Welcome.
And thanks for listening.
Thank you.
I'd pull all the stars out of the moon, and I would give everything to you. It would always be true to you. I walk the ocean shore, looking for an open door. Waves of doubt get washed into the sea. Clouds gather darkening, world's ways keep wooing me. All my fears give way to honesty. I would do anything for you. I'd pull all the stars out of always be true to you. Yeah.
Thanks for listening to the podcast. You can find us on all social medias at Inebri-art, except for Instagram, we're at Inebri-art6. You can email us with your questions, complaints, and whatnot at Inebri-art@yahoo.com. And if you're looking for more podcasts, you can check out the other podcasts on our network, Retro Redoctopus, America's Hometown Horror, and, of course, Bar Talk, Old Colony, and Inebri-art Podcast, the original. So check those out and subscribe and comment so we can reach more people, and thanks for listening.